What's new in the world, my people? My name is Cyblade, and welcome back to Monster Hunter World, but not back to, my story playthrough. This is picking up a series I had begun around the time I first started my channel, but kind of dropped after a while. I wasn't getting much attention, but that was back when I barely had any subscribers. Now that I have a more decent number, and who I know are anime fans, I am picking this idea up, which is a crossover, what if crossover ideas between Monster Hunter and various animes. What if characters from certain anime were paired up with monsters from the Monster Hunter universe, like the game Monster Hunter Stories for the 3DS, where you were able to tame and fight alongside the monsters. Babies, admittedly, not the full-grown versions, but still. I started off that series with Ruby. As you can see, I made Nora Valkyrie here. But this is not a Ruby video, as you probably guessed from the title. This is all about Akame Ga Kill, another one, an anime I like very much and finished just recently. And this idea popped into my head, pairing up Akame Ga Kill characters, specifically the groups of Night Raid and the Jeagers, with various monsters. Now, before I really get into start talking about this, I gotta say I have no editing abilities, so I can't put up like pictures of the monsters or the characters from Akame Ga Kill, so I'll have to ask you guys, I guess, while you're watching this, bring up a couple of Google Images tabs, one for Monster Hunter, one for Akame Ga Kill, and just type in the character's name or monster's name as I say them. With that being said, if I have a subscriber out there who's an editor willing to do stuff for free, please leave a comment down below on this. And also just, leave a comment below letting me know what you think of this idea and what anime you'd like to see me try in the future. But with that being said, now we're pairing up characters, like I said, from Night Raid and the Jeagers, respectively, with monsters that fit with them in terms of general abilities, characteristics, personalities, fighting styles, etc., etc. And now, with that finally all out of the way, let's begin. Starting with Night Raid and Akame, and, well, you see the monster I'm hunting right now. I guess you could probably figure that out from as soon as you clicked on the video, or after I began explaining this. Nargacuga will be paired with Akame. It's basically a simple explanation. Akame is an assassin all about speed and getting the one quick strike, one hit, one kill with her deadly, poisonous Imperial arms, Murasame. And Nargacuga is very much similar. An incredibly speedy monster striking from the shadows, often in-game referred to as an assassin. All about getting in one quick strike for an easy kill with its bladed wing arms. You can clearly see here. Pretty simple. Again, both very similar in terms of fighting style, but also Nargacuga has a powerful tail here that, as you can see, can go from, being a normal, smooth tail like every other animal to having a bunch of spiky feathers come out of it for extra devastating power. And both this tail and its wing arms are more powerful than most normal metals in the game. So they're credited in lore in the Monster Hunter universe to often being able to actually break through the armor of your average low-level hunters. So that is Akame's general biggest weakness in the show. The inability to one-shot opponents wearing armor that protects them from her, getting cut from Murasame. So, pretty simple fix. Nargacuga can break through armor, and if they, by some miracle, survive having a super sharp spiky tail or razor sharp blade wing cut through their armor, or just break their armor, then Akame will come through with Murasame for the quick finish. Also, Nargacuga is capable of shooting off the feather blades on its tail as projectiles, which you could argue is Akame's second biggest weakness, the fact she has no projectile attacks. So, well, pretty simple. They fight very similarly, and Nargacuga covers up Akame's biggest weaknesses, so they'd be very successful partners. Next up, then, is, you could argue, Akame's polar opposite, but arguably best friend still, Leone. I had some trouble with this. I was going to originally pair her up with Lunastra or Teostra because they're lion dragon monsters, and Leone is essentially a human lion hybrid while using her Imperial Arms Lionel. But that didn't fit too well outside just aesthetics, and Lunastra, Teostra, big fire monsters, which Leone is not a fire user, and that fits well with another character who will be on the list later. You can probably see where I'm going with that. But for now, she gets Tigrex, the closest, basically a tiger T-Rex hybrid, and tiger, closest thing we got to a lion. But also, they have a very similar method. Both raw, vicious, relying on, pure power and relentless savagery and aggression to decimate their opponents until they're nothing but red paste. Leone did this in episode 3 of Akame Ga Kill when the bandits invaded, trying to, find and sell out Night Raid's hideout for quick cash, and Leone found one of the bandits and beat him into red paste. Tigrex similarly won't stop trying to murderize whatever it's attacking until it is basically both broken bones and scraps of red meat. Pretty simple. Moving on then to Tatsumi. This was a little more difficult because Tatsumi is kind of the bland man in the group. He doesn't really have too much going for him other than, the Incurcio armor he inherited from Bulat after Bulat sadly died. But Incurcio then is made from, a powerful S-Class dragon-like danger beast, which sounds very similar to an elder dragon. Well, that's what Tatsumi gets. Valstrax, one of the more powerful elder dragons, a station above the normal ones we see, Kushala, Teostra, etc. Just like Tatsumi eventually surpassed Bulat. Ow. Okay, so. But also, Velstrax is known as the rocket-powered Elder Dragon since its wings are basically Trident jet engines of the all-powerful dragon energy of Monster Hunter World. And I think, if I remember correctly, in the last battle against the Emperor's Imperial Arms, after they brought it down, and it was skidding to a stop, or well, it was going to eventually come to a stop, but before it would crush a large group of innocent civilians, so Tatsumi sacrificed himself, pushing it to a stop with dragon wings out, and if I remember correctly, those dragon wings also had some kind of weird engine in them. I could be wrong about that, I might be not remembering correctly, but either way, that would fit in well with Velstrax, and who knows, if he had Velstrax with him, pushing alongside him, maybe he wouldn't have died. Alright then, on to the next member on the list, which is mine, Tatsumi's girlfriend and wife, if I remember correctly from the manga. Weird all the differences between, but that's not what the anime and manga, but we're not here to talk about that. So, mine will be paired with one of the most powerful monsters that isn't an Elder Dragon, Rajang, who eats Kirin, another Elder Dragon. But now this might be a strange coincidence. Mine, again, arguably the weakest member of Night Raid, who was pretty much useless in a physical fight, but ow, okay, being paired with the monster who's all about a physical fight and overpowering their opponents. But hear me out, this will make sense. Mine's weapon, the Imperial Arms Pumpkin, is all about, well, it requires mine to be in serious danger before, what the, did you guys see that? Fulgur engine that just materialized out of nowhere. It was not standing there a second ago. Holy crap, that freaked me out. Alright, back to what we were saying, though. Mine's weapon, Pumpkin, or mine needs to be in danger for Pumpkin to power up, so there aren't many more dangers in Monster Hunter than dealing with Rajang. So, you know, have Rajang throw a couple punches at her, she dodges, or heck, even just its big laser beam, and she just dodges it once, that's more than enough danger. She'd be shooting a beam like 3 times as powerful as Rajang's beam, putting like even Goku's Kamehameha to shame. Okay, that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the idea. Alright then. So, and when she isn't powered up and needs protecting, again, you can't ask for much a better bodyguard than Rajang. Simple enough. Moving on now to Bulat, the original owner of Incursio, and while he never got it to its full potential like Tatsumi, he was still quite powerful. Almost a dragon in his own right. Quiet, dog, stop barking. Sorry about that. Anyways, so yeah, he was almost a dragon in his own right, and so, but he was all about the physical power, much like the monster I'll be pairing him up with, Nergigante, the eater of other elder dragons, didn't have an element of its own, but more than made up for it with its pure raw strength. So, yep. Pretty simple. Both, incredibly powerful, all about being physically superior to your opponents. Again, Bulat did imply more strategy than just be strong, but that was essentially his bread and butter. Much like Nergigante. But also, Nergigante has its spikes, which would be an advantage for two different reasons. One, for having projectiles. Much like Akame, Bulat lacked any form of projectiles, despite his main weapon being a spear, a weapon you're supposed to throw. But I digress. Anyways, so he's got no projectiles. Nergigante uses its spikes as projectiles, covers up his weakness, and again, if he had survived and still passed Incursio to Tatsumi, Bulat could then make new armor out of... Oh, come on. Bulat could then make new armor out of all of Nergigante's fallen black spikes all over. Heck, they could even use it to make armor for the whole Night Raid gang. In that case, armor, or spikes that can pierce stone probably would make pretty good armor. On to the next person, member of Night Raid, and that is everyone's favorite airhead, Shell. Now, Shell's weapon was the giant pair of scissors, all about cutting through just about everything, which fits well with the monster I'm going to give her, Glavenus, the giant dinosaur with a sword for a tail that could also be heated up to a fire sword, similarly cut through just about anything with no problem, certainly cleaving through Arathian's wing spikes with ease. So there we go, similar weapons with just equally deadly. But beyond that, Glavenus is also noted to be one of the most intelligent monsters that isn't an Elder Dragon. Clever, possibly the most, largely agreed to be the most intelligent of all the brute wyverns. That's unfortunate. So, yes, it would counter Shell's airheadedness quite well. Possibly enough to even let her do chores again. Like if she went out and was about to buy ridiculous amounts of sugar instead of flour, Glavenus could just pick her up and move her to the flour instead. Keep her on the right track. They'd make a very good team, I feel. Alright then. Then, on to the leader of Night Raid, Najenda, however you pronounce it. And for those wondering why I put her here, I was originally making a list, doing names every 2 spaces on the lined paper I had, but I realized that it wouldn't have enough room for the whole list, so I put names in between. And so, yeah, that's why Najenda's here and not at the end of Night Raid's list, saved, the leader for last. But, oh well, that's not what we're here to talk about. Anyways, so Najenda's biggest hang-up throughout the series is essentially her inability to step out into the fight herself, requiring, Night Raid to do most of the missions for her, or Susanoo when she did want to step out into battle herself. But hopefully with this new monster alongside Susanoo, she'd be real overpowered in this case. But anyways, she gets Raging Brachydios, one of the most powerful non-Elder Dragons in the game. Brachydios, already a powerful monster, ridiculously so, but as the variant Raging Brachydios, even more so. Its already indestructible shell leveled up and gone even further to its next stage, even further beyond, with the new supreme super good slime it has as Raging Brachydios. So stronger shell, better defense for Najinda, and again, already one of the most powerful monsters, or yeah, one of the strongest physical monsters, with super powerful explosive slime. This slime even more explosive, even more powerful, and Raging Brachydios much bigger and more powerful than regular Brackies. Very little stands against them, so very little could stand against Najinda. That feels explained well enough for you. Covered everything about as well as I could have there. So moving on to Lubbock next. And oh, come on. Oh well, his is an interesting case. We are pairing him up with another Elder level, but not an Elder Dragon, the giant golden mantis Atal Ka. Pretty simple. Lubbock uses his wires to fight, and Atal Ka spins incredible golden silk threads. Incredibly powerful, capable of easily restraining the superhuman hunters and holding together the giant mech known as Atal Nesto when Atal Ka feels the need to create it. Which, again, pretty simple. Like, if push comes to shove, they'd have a freaking mech on call. They both fight with strings. Atal Ka can make Atal Nesto, which should win them just about any situation. Could probably even stand up against the Emperor's Shikotaser thing. And again, one more reason Tatsumi wouldn't have died. Or Lubbock later, since he died too. Or well, not later than Tatsumi, but either way, we're getting off track with that. And just having it spin the silk thread, I can definitely see Lubbock trying to, sweet talk his way with Najinda, offering her, the silk thread, silk clothing, trying to impress her, but not getting anywhere with it. Alright. Oh god, didn't go. On to the next member then. And the artificial member of them, but no less human himself, the organic Imperial Arms, Susanoo. And Susanoo's ultimate power, his trump card, activates when he takes the life force of his current owner. So there weren't many monsters that tie in with that, but there is one that does tie in perfectly. Val Hazak, using the effluvium of the Rotten Vale and sucking in the life energy of all other monsters around to heal himself. who knows, you could maybe figure out how to use that instead of using Nagenda's life force. And it's an Elder Dragon already. While Valazak may be weaker than some of the others, still very powerful in its own right, so it would fit well with the extremely powerful Susanoo. Enough said, I believe. And now we are finally moving on to the Jeagers. And starting off with their leader, General Esdeath. Again, I know I probably should have saved her for last since she's the leader and everything, but again, return to keep. But again, like I said, started the list wrong. But anyways, this one again, pretty simple. Nagenda's incredibly powerful and all about using ice. So that fits in perfectly well with the newest, or one of the newest Elder Dragons, Velkhana. Extremely powerful as an Elder Dragon, largely considered to be more powerful than the ones we've been facing up to this point, and incredibly gifted with ice magic, able to freeze monsters solid, Kortos en masse, and even an Anjanath, which, as we know, has incredible flame capabilities. And it's at the current stage in Iceborne where I'm at, the big threat is locating Velkhana. Switching hammers here. I know it doesn't look like Magenhild anymore, but this isn't even a Ruby video anyway, so not focusing on authenticity for Ruby characters. Anyways. So yeah. Velkhana is believed to be a threat capable of freezing the entirety of the New World. Freezing over an entire continent, much like Esdeath once did in the manga herself. So, again, I feel like they'd work quite well together. Moving on next, Akame's little sister, Kurame. And we are pairing her with Gore Magala. Why? Because Kurame's weapon, Yasufuta, or I'm probably butchering the pronunciation of that, her Imperial Arms is essentially a zombie restorer. Brings people back from the dead and makes them her puppets. Or it might have to be killed by her. I'd have to relook that up, but either way, so she brings back dead things as zombies with that, and that fits perfectly with Gore Magala, who uses the Frenzy virus to essentially turn things into zombies and make them murder things en masse. So, he'd already be killing things that Kurame could then bring back as hers, or they just come back as zombies either way and go on a rampage, which, Kurame could bring them back once they've been zombified, whatever, and control them to deadly effectiveness. Oh, man. That makes her a way bigger threat tonight right now. I might have made a horrible mistake here. But there we go. It's the best partner she could essentially ask for besides her sister, but that ship has pretty much sailed. Moving on to the next one, Seiryu Ubiquitous, everyone's favorite psychopath obsessed with justice. This one was a tough one. She already has, Kuro, her Imperial Arms, but, I gave Najenda, her own monster, and she has an Imperial arm, so I gotta be fair. But this was difficult. She already had Kuro, so it was difficult to think of a monster to properly pair her with. So we're giving her best doggo in Monster Hunter to go along with her doggo, Odogaron. Both because, well, it has essentially the flip like switch like Suryu herself. She's all, you know, cute, docile, and peaceful, but when she thinks there's evil around, she turns into a freaking psychopath. And Odogaron, very much the same. We all call it, you know, a freaking psychopath, but until it has to fight, it's, you know, decently calm. It only roars at you to get out of its territory once, you know, it gives you a warning, but will let you go. Only when you stick around does it, like, turn and be like, okay, someone going to die tonight. So I think it fit well. And there's an argument to be made that among the monsters, Odogaron is possibly the only one that can be domesticated, since there's a capture quest for it that you are capturing an Odogaron to essentially have it replace one of the scientist's dead dogs or something, dead pets. So she'd have an actual dog, admittedly a giant dog monster, but more of an actual dog than Kuro seems to be. So she'd have two dogs of death on her side. Pretty fitting. Alright then, moving on to the angelic teacher of the Jeagers, Run. And this one was a bit difficult, but eventually I found one. Run is all about, you know, fighting at a distance, flying with his angel wing Imperial arms thing, and shooting his feathers as projectiles, which ties in well with the original flying invader, Seregios, the wyvern of 1,000 blades, who uses its scales that make it look like a pine cone, even before basil geese, and shoots them off as giant razors. Admittedly, again, much like Odogaron, it actually is a psychopath constantly, but, you know, maybe Run with his, you know, calm demeanor and everything, you know, give it the proper care, he could, you know, tone it down to at least only be a psychopath to its enemies and only slaughter them instead of everyone. And it's also capable of physically fighting, unlike Run himself, so, you know, again, much like mine, he's got a bodyguard for if things get uncomfortably close to him. Simple enough. Moving on to Bowls, the fiery executioner of the Jeagers. And for this, we give him Lunastra. I debated about it for a bit, but, you know, Teostra, especially in the New World, it's really more about a big blast, kaboom, than fire itself. I mean, yes, he breathes fire and spreads it, but for the most part, he sticks to his big blasts. Lunastra is the one really about the fires. And Bulls already has, you know, 2 women in his life. Was, you know, might as well give him one more. Or what is one more at this point. And again, one last time, much like a few of the others, Bulls great at a distance, not that great when people close that distance. Has to resort to basically the kamikaze move by exploding his Imperial arms. But with Lunastra around, you know, he'll have someone to have his back. Won't need to, you know, explode himself. Simple enough. Moving on then to the last member of the Jeagers, Wave. And this one was difficult, but again, he's essentially Tatsumi 2.0, so not too easy to identify, but his armor is, like I said, you know, the upgraded version of Incursio, so an upgraded version of a dragon armor, give him another dragon, so we gave him Amatsu, the Storm Dragon. Admittedly, we haven't seen him, you know, do anything like make freaking storms or anything, but he's also, you know, he was part of the Navy, you know, lots of time at sea, and while Amatsu isn't necessarily a sea monster, you know, it controls weather, waves, and everything, so could probably be useful for Navy life. Making the weather right when they need it, or, you know, water beams to split, I don't know, any debris they might run into at sea, but getting off topic then. But yeah, basically a dragon more powerful than most regular normal dragons, so possibly more powerful than Valstrax, so that's why he gets it. There we go. And this one was kind of a side joke, but I'm including, you know, Minister Honest on the list, the, you know, the corrupt guy, basically the true villain of the whole series. Always seen constantly gorging himself on meat. So I gave the fat bastard the giant fat pink gorilla Congalala. Again, it fits quite well with him. He's super fat, it's super fat. He's constantly eating meat. It's also known to be a bit of a glutton. He's super gross and nasty. Congalala farts all the time, so it's super gross and nasty. And he'll have to deal with that all the time, so that brought a chuckle to me when I thought of it at first. But it's also, you know, surprisingly powerful. You'd be forgiven for thinking you could just wreck it, like when he destroyed Akame's Imperial arms, he was able to briefly overpower her. Congalala is actually an impressive fighter for a monster. I mean, nowhere near Tigrex level. Tigrex would eat it and then the Minister, but still pretty impressive. So there you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this list. You know, if Night Raid and the Jeagers had their own monsters, let me know what you thought down in the comments below. And if you would like to see, you know, more of this, what other anime you'd like to see me pair monsters with, provided I've seen that anime and can answer that. And yeah, just, you know, let me know your thoughts. But with that said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed this. If you like this and want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give a quick cut to the like. Oh crap, I didn't edit the... change the... come on. Alright. If you like this and want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give a quick cut to the like button. Leave a comment down below. Share it around with all your friends. And oh, come on, Anjanath, stop ruining the dance. Do I have a Farcaster? No, I don't. Oh well. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this and want to see more, go ahead and slash that subscribe button. If you like this video, give a quick cut to the like button, leave a comment down below, share it around with all your friends, and be sure to follow me on Twitter and Facebook. Then I'll see you in the next video, but until then, my people, stay sharp.